Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Cointelegraph Live AMA. I'm your host, Maxwell, and we're going to be talking about cross-chain liquidity today, which I think is really, really interesting because we can look at the current blockchain landscape almost like a series of separate islands, each with its own ecosystem, strengths, weaknesses, but it's fragmented. And that fragmentation leads to, I guess, limited liquidity, complex interactions, the possibility of centralization and potential security risks. I think of it kind of like sending a package overseas. Like, yes, it's doable, but it can be expensive, it can be slow, and there's a chance that problems can crop up along the way. So there's many projects that are trying to tackle this. But today we're focusing on one that caught our attention, zkCross Network. It's a platform that aims to reimagine cross-chain liquidity flow across blockchains. So we have invited our friend Shivam. Shivam is the founder and CEO of zkCross Network. So hello, Shivam, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Max, for having us. Very eager to share how we're advancing DeFi chain abstraction and one-click transactions. Just like Visa and Mastercard simplified fiat transaction by abstracting complexities, zkCross Network is making DeFi as simple and user-friendly as using a bank card. So we are bridging the gaps in DeFi to create a unified experience. Thank you. Let's dive into it.
Definitely. Before we dive in, we do have another clip that kind of shows some of the features of the project. So let's go ahead, roll that, and then we'll come back and we'll dive in. All right, I got a bunch of questions that I'm really eager to get answers to, but just want to invite the audience as well to share this on your feed, leave some questions in the comments, and if we have time at the end, we'll definitely get to them. But let's start I've been in DeFi, the crypto space, for a while, and I've seen the changes from, when we talk about cross-chain interoperability, we had centralized bridges and then, wrapped tokens, then trustless bridges. And, now we're kind of seeing like multi-chain networks and layer 2 solutions. So there's been a lot of progress made in the past few years, but there's still challenges. So maybe you can tell me, kind of what are the major challenges that are still facing this, in this area today, and, how you think those issues can maybe be solved.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. Let me touch into the top 5 that I believe are the most crucial. So the first and the foremost is the complex user experience, which is, I think, one of the major barrier to entry for newbies. Despite advancements, as you mentioned, the user experience in cross-chain DeFi is still complex. It requires users to navigate through multiple platforms, wallets, tokens, gas, slippage, I think, which requires a huge learning curve and the technology know-how, which is kind of like rocket science to majority of the users in Web2 or friends and family that I know. Then second one, which is the most talked about, is security risk. I mean, as you know, cross-chain bridges are often targets to attacks due to their complex technology and nature. So it's making them really vulnerable to different hacks and exploits, which I think has led to major losses in the past years with all the high-profile bridge hacks. Then third one is scalability, which has always been there. I mean, there have been a lot of L2 solutions, multi-chain networks have improved that, but they still face bottlenecks, especially during the peak times, which can result into slow transaction, higher fees. Then the next one would be fragmentation, which is bound to be there as there are more than 1,000 blockchains. Like one of the stats which amazes me is like 85% of all the TVL, it's just with 6 blockchains, and hence reducing the overall effectiveness of the entire DeFi ecosystem. Then comes liquidity. I mean, ensuring sufficient liquidity across multiple blockchains, which I think still remains a major challenge because without deep liquidity, cross-chain transaction can suffer slippage, inaccuracies, which impacts the entire user experience as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, those are. I think I definitely agree with all of those challenges, especially the fragmented liquidity and that kind of like really complex user experience. Like you said, for us maybe it's more natural. We've been in the space, we know how to do it. But if you try to explain this to like your cousin who doesn't know anything, or like my family, like it's way too much. So those are the challenges. But what are the solutions? How does the zk Cross network kind of fit into this?
I've been solving the problem of onboarding since 2017. Like zkCross network happened last year. zkCross network solves one of the biggest problems, which acts like a central hub, unifying cross-chain DeFi operations by integrating essential components like messaging systems, liquidity aggregation, different protocols, which enables the creation of comprehensive, user-friendly cross-chain apps. So basically, our infrastructure simplifies DeFi for users by offering a secure one-click transaction experience, including integrated fiat gateway and the entire management of the liquidity across chains. So this is user-centric design, which I think makes DeFi as easy and accessible as using your normal bank card. Then we talk about different businesses, developers. So we provide a unified infrastructure, comprehensive SDK, enhanced security, accelerating cross-chain entire development. So basically, this allows for a quick, efficient integration of cross-chain functionalities and fiat gateway capabilities being integrated into a dApp from day one and without incurring any kind of cost, which will, I think, boost the entire ecosystem with a lot of developers, businesses building on our ecosystem as well. And like one of the most foremost thing is that we've introduced DeFi chain abstraction at blockchain level. What that means is we are filling different DeFi infrastructure gaps for both emerging and established blockchains. And with zkCross Exchange, we offer streamlined one-stop platform that enables users to onboard without acquiring any kind of technical knowledge or even the know-how of the entire ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get into the kind of the features of your project, but before we get there, let's take a step back and let's just kind of like define some of these more conceptual things. Like you mentioned, chain abstraction. What is that?
So chain abstraction, if we talk about for the end user, simplifies interactions with multiple blockchains without the need to understand the different technical infrastructure that exists beneath that, and allowing seamless operations through a single interface, like without having to understand multiple blockchains, wallets, gas, slippage, and all of those different complexities. So for the end user, it means that they just come and be a part of the entire ecosystem. Like they don't have to jump from one platforms trying to understand things, which I think for a normal user is kind of rocket science at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of the kind of the underlying, but then you do have a few different products within zkCross. So you have the zkCross protocol, zkCross DEX, and the zkCross SDK. Let's start with the protocol. Can you just kind of give us the high level, what that does, and then I want to get into the cross DEX and the SDK as well.
zkCross protocol leverages chain abstraction to enable seamless cross-chain transactions. So users don't have to worry about all the different complexities we just spoke about when they're actually interacting with other blockchains. We abstract pretty much everything, all the different details are actually hidden from the end user, which kind of ranges from wallets, addresses, transactions, and hence making it feel like that they're interacting with a unified blockchain ecosystem and not like individual blockchains kind of isolating themselves in the entire ecosystem. So we have bridged everything together with our zkCross protocol.
Okay. So then with the zkCross DEX, then let's kind of focus on that for a minute. What kind of DeFi tools and services can you find there?
Let me first actually explain what is zkCross DEX or exchange. Yeah. So what we do is we build exchanges natively for the blockchains, and we use chain abstraction to simplify trading across different ecosystems. Traders can swap assets between blockchains without needing to navigate multiple interfaces or to understand unique properties of each isolated blockchain. So this unified experience is especially powerful because it makes DeFi accessible to users without requiring the deep technology knowledge, I would say. So if we talk about different tools that are integrated, so first and foremost is one-click cross-chain swaps, which is one of the main features of our exchange, and its ability to make the seamless transactions happen where users can interact with different blockchains never ever have to worry about gas slippage, liquidity, and all of that is completely taken care of. Liquidity pools, so have already introduced liquidity pools where users can provide liquidity being on any blockchain. They don't have to transfer their assets physically over, and then they can earn rewards taking advantage of that like universal liquidity aggregation we offer as an exchange. If we want users to be a part of the Web3 ecosystem, there should be ways they can get liquidity from their like bank account, bank card straight away. So hence, through a partnership with Stellar Blockchain, we have integrated the anchors where we offer fiat gateway throughout the world so that users can onboard liquidity via any fiat currency without the need of having a centralized exchange account, and hence enabling frictionless access to DeFi for the entire globe pretty much. As a user in DeFi, you never really have an overview of your entire wealth. Generally, for me, it has always been spreadsheets, Excel sheets, where I pretty much go once in a month or once in a few days to kind of add all of that manually, which was obviously time consuming. You never have the right data. We are providing a very efficient way to manage your entire portfolio, where users can track EVM, non-EVM blockchains just by a unified interface, and then they can buy and sell and interact with any blockchain they like without ever having to leave that platform. One of the features is gas abstraction to simplify the entire like user experience, where we take care of the entire gas handling across blockchains. So being as a user, you just come in, be a part, do the transactions and operations without ever having to understand the different technical aspects of different blockchains, different gas tokens, and all of that. Lastly, wallet abstraction. So I think which plays a very important role because users who are actually coming from Web2, they need to manage, or they need to first of all understand how to manage different wallets, the different securities that kind of goes into it, managing your like private keys. So we've streamlined the entire user experience where you come in with your Web2 Gmail account, Facebook account, just log in. And if you want to have a wallet, which is one click, we actually create that wallet for you. And it's completely secured by MPC. And hence the user, they don't have to go through that learning curve as well. So just to sum up all of this as a user flow, user comes in through account abstraction, Web2 login, they can participate and buy kind of any token on any blockchain. Then we have also integrated end protocols into the entire exchange itself. So if you are on XYZ blockchain, you want to stake on that blockchain or any other blockchain, you can do it just from one interface. You don't need any other like kind of interface to be a part of the entire DeFi or Web3 ecosystem.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. I was going to ask, that you kind of give us step by step, kind of break down, but I think you just did. You can come in through, the fiat on ramp. Also, I think one of the major things that's happened in the past, year or two is that account abstraction, wallet abstraction, making it easy to sign in, to your wallet with your Gmail account. I think that's for the user experience. That's something that we've really needed because, like private key management and all of that, it can be very, very difficult for those who are coming from Web 2. But then, so I was going to also ask, and you mentioned, the gas abstraction as well. So essentially, I could go from, let's say, Ethereum. I could swap, in order to make transactions on Ethereum, you need ETH. But then I want to go towards Solana or something. Like I can make a cross-chain swap, and I don't have to worry about the gas in each of the blockchains.
No, absolutely. For our users, let me give you an example over here, which I think I started earlier. We like compare ourselves with Visa and Mastercard as they solved the moment of fiat back in 80s and 90s, where you as a user can walk into any shop today, tap in your card, the money comes out from your account, goes to the merchant account, seller account, with just one approval. So one approval is your face ID, thumb ID, or even entering a PIN. And the entire complications, fiat like moment of money is abstracted from that user view. So be it like transferring into another currency and all of that is completely done in the back end. And if the money basically like doesn't transfer through, within like 24 to like 48 hours, it will come back to your wallet. So this is exactly what we've already built. We've already launched the ecosystem. So as a user, you never ever have to think about going from one blockchain to another. It's just one approval and everything is fully abstracted from your view. Make it like really simple for the end user.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like I think that's, and the dashboard also, for me, I know I have to do that manual counting sometimes too. I have to go to like each of my wallets, on the different blockchains, be like, okay, what's this, if I'm doing like a liquidity, liquidity tokens or something like that. You have to like calculate and whatnot. So having it all in one place, I think is very helpful. But so you also mentioned the universal liquidity, having that kind of like cross chain and tapping into liquidity and those fragmented kind of islands, as I mentioned earlier. But how does that actually work? And maybe you can give us a bit more detail on how you actually integrate those multiple blockchains and are tapping into the liquidity there.
So the term universal liquidity is one of the most powerful aspects of what we do. Aggregates liquidity from multiple blockchains into a single pool, allowing users to execute cross-chain transaction with just one click. So let me give you like a bit of overview. So liquidity is aggregated from multiple blockchains, ensuring that users always have access to the best pricing, lowest slippage for their operations. Liquidity becomes universal, then users no longer need to navigate different platforms or different blockchains. A single interface provides access to all the supported blockchains, making the process really efficient, user-friendly, and with just one-click operations. So enhance flexibility ensures that users are not confined to trading within one single blockchain ecosystem, which is happening at the moment. More than 93% of Ethereum wallet addresses have not interacted with any other blockchain in the last year. So just this statement, this stat kind of opens your eye and see like exactly what is happening. Almost 92% of all the different projects in DeFi fail because of low liquidity and users. So yes, we're building a lot and everything is happening, but at the same time, where the users, where the transaction, where the TVL? Like first of all, where's the interface which can onboard users without that learning curve? I mean, that's exactly what we're solving here.
Yeah, no, that's an insane statistic. I had not heard that before, but I guess in a lot of ways, you mentioned earlier too. What 85% of the TVL is on 6 chains. So I mean,
Yes.
when all of those, if there's 100 other chains, and their success is kind of dependent on liquidity. How do you what's the decision making process of which chains to integrate? I mean, are there are there security risks also for some blockchains that you might not want to integrate because they're vulnerable to a 51% attack or something like that? And I guess how do you actually choose what's going to be connected in?
Deciding which blockchain and assets to support on our exchange is kind of based on the alignment with our mission and demand from the entire market community and the entire growth that we can perceive from that blockchain as well. So we always focus on blockchains with strong innovation, like user adoption potential. So this approach ensures that we always align with the user-centric approach. And one thing to also mention here, which you just said, there are some blockchains which are prone to attacks and everything. One thing to emphasize that we are here to solve all of those problems. So as I mentioned in the very start, we bridge in all the DeFi infrastructure gaps that are there in a blockchain. I mean, just to give you an example, we're working with Padisha blockchain, where when we joined them, they did not really have a DEX. So we started creating the entire DeFi ecosystem for Padisha blockchain. But actually, when we speak about ICP already has DEXs. So we're not here to compete against any protocols or against any DEXs. We are here to make DeFi accessible to the masses. And that's the core mission. One thing which I want to outline that we are not a blockchain, we're not a wallet. I don't think we'll ever will be. But over here, the motive is to create a platform which connects what exists today as infrastructure. I think a lot of different projects are doing chain abstraction, but I think one of the easiest way to do that is create your own wallet and do the entire portfolio management chain abstraction on that wallet, which is, I think, the easiest approach to do. But then I think we've taken a harder route where we want to work with each blockchain, solve the entire DeFi infrastructure problems.
Yeah. No, I really I've noticed, and maybe it's been kind of an ethos of crypto and DeFi, since the beginning, but especially in the last few years, I've noticed a lot more kind of cooperation among projects, it's really like, okay, you do this, I'll do this. It's not a competition. It's like, let's do this together. Let's take tools that work here and let's build them here. So I think it's really great that, you're kind of connecting the pieces and not necessarily going out and trying to compete with, already established dexes. But so, we also touched on and kind of you were mentioning that one of the main focuses is security. So there's a few different attack vectors when it comes to DeFi, obviously, when it is, maybe a whether it's a chain itself that could be targeted through, like a 51% attack, like I mentioned, or whether it's targeting those cross-chain bridges. So how do you actually like, what are the steps you've taken to really like secure user funds and, protect against those, multiple potential vulnerabilities?
Firstly, to start with, zkCross Exchange is the world's first privacy-driven decentralized exchange, where we have implemented multi-layered like security approach that includes several measures. So we integrate zkPs to enhance the entire security and privacy. So it allows the transaction to be verified without revealing the information which is used by front-end and bot, protecting the user data while ensuring the integrity of that entire transaction. We leverage completely decentralized protocols. So we eliminate the centralized aspect of that point of failure where we distribute the entire risk across the network and hence making more robust against those generic attacks. Then we do audits, rigorous audit, in-house audit, third-party audits, and audits from top leading firms to ensure that all the different vulnerabilities are identified and mitigated before we even deploy. We have been actually funded by ICP to integrate their multi-party computation to secure the private keys, our own keys, user keys by distributing to like multiple parties. So hence preventing that single point of compromise. We are also working on an AI security system, which I think I've never mentioned. This is the first time I'm mentioning it, which will monitor the entire exchange 24/7. It will take steps to mitigate transaction on hacks if it finds that. When we are still far off, we just started building like 2 months ago. I think we'll be launching somewhere start of next year. Ongoing monitoring is essential for each DEX and exchange out there, even cross-chain protocols, which I've seen is not happening at that level. And like if you actually talk about the entire Web3 ecosystem, whereas with monitoring, we can mitigate a lot of these issues and hacks that happen if you find that out at the right time. And if we do so, then we will be able to stop the majority of them. At the end of the day, the entire ecosystem is kind of still in its initial phases. Companies like us who will come and solve those problems, and we're doing our best. We're integrating the market's leading security measures in order to make our exchange the most secure which is out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you mentioned, it's always kind of like a cat and mouse like chase with security, because you have to be monitoring it 24/7. You need to stay, one step ahead, like or as close. When you see a vulnerability, you need to like be there. So it's really I'm excited to hear more about this AI tool that you're building. We'll definitely I'll keep I'll keep an eye on your guys' profiles to see when more news comes out. But okay, so you also mentioned like ZK, zero knowledge proofs. I know it's a bit difficult to explain how that works, in layman's terms. And I think most people in the Web3 industry, most people have probably heard of ZK proofs in the last, year or two since they've really become prominent. But maybe you can just, if you could briefly kind of just explain how that is, yes, you don't have to reveal the information, but how does that actually, benefit the security? And if you did reveal the information, why would it be a vulnerability?
Absolutely. So let me give a very, I would say, layman example so that everybody over here kind of explains, because zero knowledge proofs, it kind of doesn't really say much to the layman. So this means I gave you something, but without revealing my name, identity. Maybe I can just have a variable as yes, X guy gave to Y guy, yes or no, without having to share the entire information, what my name is, where I'm from, what I do, where the entire funds came from, and all of that. But obviously, being in blockchain, the path is there. But in order to explain this in a very layman language, I think that's the best example. Then why ZKPs? So basically, there are a lot of DEXs that's available in the market. We wanted to build an exchange where privacy comes first, and working with Partitia, which is again a privacy-driven blockchain. This kind of happened where we were going through the entire process and we wanted that front running to stop. We wanted the entire hackers to not get that information unless and until the entire operation has been completed on chain. So the best possible route for us was to integrate zkP so that the transaction operation of information, the front runner bot, the information that they captured, all that is completely secured. Once the transaction goes on chain and it finishes, that's when we actually reveal the entire information. I mean, that's the most layman I can get, but hopefully I've answered the question.
No, definitely. I mean, it makes sense to me because I have studied this, and I think it's a great example also just of, kind of like showing, to the fact that you don't have to know the information, but then, it is still provable. I think that's really a key.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears because, I know the last product that, we mentioned at the top was the zkCross SDK. So this is for developers, like it's a toolkit for developers to integrate, this cross-chain functionality into dApps. Maybe you can tell us about some already existing use cases or maybe, potential use cases where this could be a fit and, where it might be promising.
Like zkCross SDK, what we've done is if you are a business founder, developer, and you want to launch your cross-chain dApp or an application or a protocol, you just integrate us and we take care of the rest. So that's fiat onboarding, integrating cross-chain transaction into the entire ecosystem as well. So you from a developer, you can call it as a DeFi gateway. With one toolkit, you'll be able to develop entire cross-chain solutions without ever having to pay for anything actually. So in terms of applications, as I mentioned, cross-chain DeFi applications, so zkCross SDK allows developers to build DeFi platforms which can seamlessly interact with multiple blockchains. So this includes like lending, borrowing platforms, DEXs, yield farming protocols that can tap into liquidity from various blockchains, offering users the best rate and different opportunities that exist. Then one of the other use cases is RWA. So while we act as an enabler in this space, RWA blockchains and dApps can integrate our technology to onboard users seamlessly with the lowest bounce rates as well. So this is very crucial in bringing the TradFi assets and use cases such as real estate, like commodities, into the entire DeFi ecosystem, and hence enhancing the liquidity and market participation as well. Then the other one is Web3 market making. Our SDK supports automated market makers. If you are like a market maker and you want to venture into Web3, you can just use our SDK and we enable the entire fully automated cross-chain transactions capabilities, efficient management of liquidity across blockchains as well. Then one of the other use cases that we're building is cross-chain launchpads. So now you can build launchpads that support token sales across multiple blockchains. So as a user, you would participate in different token offerings, NFT offerings, and everything around it. With just having your funds in whichever blockchain you like, you don't have to go and bridge and swap. And as a layman, that's major user flow for them to even acquire any tokens on like a launchpad. And the third one is gaming and NFTs. So developers can use our SDK to create different gaming platforms, NFT marketplaces. These use cases kind of demonstrate the potential of we have, but I'm sure the entire developers, founders will be able to come a lot more than what we perceive. And all of these are already being built at the moment across multiple blockchains. And yeah, I've been really excited to provide one gateway so that the next generation of dApps could be built.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a toolkit you give, and then you let the developers, founders kind of take it from there and take their own creativity and innovation. So I think that's really great. Now, I do have a question because you're a cross-chain infrastructure, but you do have a token that when it comes to abstracting gas fees, does that just mean that you need your token in order to pay that gas? And if you're cross-chain, then where does your token actually live? Which chain is it on?
The token actually plays an integral part in our entire ecosystem, serving multiple roles that ensures the network's functionality, security, engagement is up to date. It's used as base token, which makes the entire cross-chain transactions happen, incentivize different users to stake a token to get rewards, and there's many different use cases that are coming up as well. So as you mentioned, where the token will be hosted, I mean, being a cross-chain token, we're starting with Ethereum, then Arbitrum, and all the different blockchains that we support. The token will be live and operational. It will be tradable on all of these ecosystems that we're building. And so that it becomes a truly cross-chain ecosystem token, actually. I mean, and plus, if you want to go cross-chain, we'll be using our own token liquidity so that everything is fully abstracted. It's one-click transactions happening. And supports the entire infrastructure of what we're building as well.
I see. And what about, so, do you have any plans to make, the zkCross network, like kind of like a governance, decentralized governance? Will the token also be used as a governance token, or is that maybe not yet?
So with us, the core is being fully decentralized, a governance model through the launch of our DAO, zkCrossDAO. So the cross token will play a very crucial role in the entire governance infrastructure, granting token holders the power to influence decisions within the ecosystem. So this includes voting on our protocol updates, fiat fees, adjustments, and important network parameters will be decided by the entire voting mechanism. And then it's pretty much there to align with our ethos and our mission as well, because we want to be completely decentralized. I think we're 80% there, 20% is remaining, but I think in the next year or so, we will be fully decentralized. And that's where we want to launch our DAO as well.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. So, I mean, we have a token launch coming up, the launch of the DAO. What about other upcoming events, activities, plans? Like, what can you share with our audience if they want to, get involved and keep up to date? What's going to be happening in the next few months for you?
Actually, there's like loads happening at the moment. So phase one of our go-to-market roadmap is now completed, where we have established zkCross network infrastructure on non-EVM blockchains, which I think was the hardest to do. Hive, Tezos, Partitia, were already live there, operational. Day for yesterday, we crossed 20,000 users activated mark, which completes the phase one, where we've already done around 67 million in transaction volume. 137,000 transactions have been completed. Now, as we move into phase two, we are gearing up for the launch of several exchanges on EVM blockchains, starting with Arbitrum, Avalanche, BNB, Optimism, Polygon, Blast, and Base. Then in phase three, we will be introducing the exchange on Ton blockchain, where we are also launching clicker board game on Telegram with different quests, complete referral program as well. I mean, I started my journey on Telegram back in 2016. So I wanted to get back to Telegram, solve the problem for Ton blockchain as well, because I think they've been struggling to get on board users from Web2 to Web3 entire ecosystem. So we have already started building on that. And then phase four, you will see the launch of our one-click Bitcoin token purchases using EVM and non-EVM tokens, which will further expand the tokens. So now imagine being in DeFi, if you want to buy runes today, even in DeFi, you still have to watch some videos, go through that learning curve. Then we want to abstract those. And now imagine if you want to buy Bitcoin by having non-EVM token in your wallet. Imagine doing that with our ecosystem where you don't have to completely worry about moving assets, how to learn about Bitcoin, what to do, how to do it. I mean, if you're a user from Bitcoin to EVM, non-EVM, non-EVM to Bitcoin, will connect the entire ecosystem. So I think by phase four, we'll be there where we have actually achieved what I started with almost 3 years ago. Then about the next is our cross token sale. So we're just around the corner with it, just waiting for the market to get better. So one thing which I'm really excited to say is that we've already sold out the seed round, public round, securing a total of $3.1 million. And now we are preparing for public token launch. I anticipate the entire launch to happen when the market condition gets a bit better, at least between 70 and 80K for Bitcoin. And also excited to mention that Paid Network, OpenPad, BRC Starter, Synapse, Moonstarter, Alpha Mind, they're already on board with the entire token sale launch. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're completely excited for this bull run. I've been preparing for the last 3 years now.
No, definitely. I mean, it's great to hear that you have, the phases. I mean, I was expecting oh yeah, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna do this, but you have a 5-step plan, and it gets even more exciting as we go on. I think it's very ambitious, and I hope you're able to actually create that, because as a user, I think those things are, very, very necessary, especially, when it comes to like connecting Bitcoin to EVM or non-EVM networks. I mean, that's kind of like a holy grail for DeFi right now, and just making that like accessible. So really, really exciting stuff. But let's zoom out for a minute. I only have kind of one more question, and it's a general one, just about the general DeFi interoperability landscape. So, we discussed what it looks like now, the challenges, kind of the successes. But what do you see in the near term, the midterm, and the long term for kind of this multi-chain DeFi platforms, and how like DApps can kind of with modular architecture, things like that. What's that near, mid, and long term view for you?
Let me see if we talk about long term or where we want to be as a cross chain, or I would say, first of all, the cross chain and the blockchain should not exist. It should be one ecosystem, which is DeFi.
Mm-hmm.
And users should be able to take part in that without having to go through that learning curve. I mean, that's a mission anyway. But then if you talk about the future of interoperability, I think it will be shaped by the need of seamless integration across multiple blockchains where dApps are really modular, and emergence of more, I would say, layer 3 solutions. I mean, we went from layer 2 to layer 1 to layer 2 to now layer 3. But then I mean, for the end users transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3, the barriers to entry should be completely removed. And I often think of my mom as an example over here. She wasn't really well versed with the entire technology, computers, yet today she navigates through e-commerce, like social media accounts, Snapchat, Instagram, and everything around it without having any problem. So our mission at zkCross Network is to make DeFi just as simple as enabling anyone, regardless of their tech know-how, expertise, to onboard and benefit from the entire ecosystem without having to go through any kind of learning curve. We are committed to making DeFi as intuitive, accessible as using a bank card, where we ensure that even those who are unfamiliar with the entire complexities of blockchain technology can participate and be that platform for next million to a billion users to onboard as well.
Yeah, definitely. I that's the my ideal for the long term as well. My mom, my sisters, they can, it's not that they're, stupid. They're very smart. They know how to do things, but like it's just a very complicated, and they might not have the the value proposition hasn't really sunk in for them yet. But I think it will, in the next 5-10 years. I think that DeFi really will be something that people are going to want. They're going to see the benefits of it, and then getting them onboarded and, kind of like, that frictionless transition is going to be really key. So really, really exciting stuff. Thanks so much for coming. Maybe you can just tell us the best place to keep up to date with all of your news and events. Tell us your Telegrams, your X, your Discord, whatever you have. Where can we find you?
First of all, thank you so much for having me today. It was amazing to be here, pretty much go through everything what we're doing. Keep up to date with all the latest updates and everything around it by following us on social media, zkCross Network, around Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram, Discord. And if you have any questions or you would like to connect with the team directly, feel free to reach through these platforms or via our website, zkCross.network. We are always here to engage with our community, with people from around the world, and answer any questions you might have.
Definitely. Thank you so much to our audience for listening. And again, thank you, Shivam, so much for joining. This has been a really interesting conversation, and best of luck to you. We'll keep up to date and hope to have you back on here soon. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.